Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 259 of Soul with Updike Pugh.
I'm Jeff Updike.
I'm Weston Pugh. We've got a great show in the store for you. I know I always say that, but we're really excited. We're going to take you down deep into Lakewood and look at an amazing, I would say it's probably 5 years old, new construction. Well done. You're going to want to join us while we tour this house.
And in our second segment today, we're going to talk about why owning investment property pays off.
And there's a lot of meat and potatoes in this one.
Yeah.
Do not change the channel. You're going to learn, and then you're going to call us, and we're going to find your house. You're going to
Call
want to do
number
that.
one.
That would work out. So what do we also like to do in the show?
Zach's looking at us like, what are they doing?
Got to keep it real. Got to keep it that way. What we like to do is talk about things that are caught our eye on social media that kind of have to do with homes. And one of the first products that I have talked about this product for a very, very long time. And it's the wall panels that attach using a nail gun. But what really set this apart is the way that they've installed it to create a disappearing door. I've done this with wallpaper. I thought it was a really great ad. I think, again, done well. I would love to do this for a pantry. Make the pantry completely disappear so you don't see the doors. Like if it was like a butler pantry as well and just totally walk past it, I think it's great.
I like it used in this level of use. I don't know that I'd like to see like a whole bedroom wall of it or something like that, but just for a design feature, yes.
We also have seen developers do hidden doors inside the offices.
Yeah.
This would be a kind of a cool way to actually incorporate the paneling.
Either one or two of the houses we saw on tour today had this in it, or a similar product.
I think it is something to watch for. Again, I think you're correct. Use it sparingly and use it wisely. Don't date yourself.
Second thing we want to talk about is paint colors. So these are some new paint color names that are out there this year. And we're going to scroll through a couple of times, but as you look at the name, they've chosen names really well on these.
So I think
they're beautiful colors.
Yes, and I think that we're seeing this because Dallas loves what's new, what's trend, and I feel like we're seeing the passing of the grays and of the all white. I've also heard that subway tiles are on their way out. So this is a really good way to bring in color, rich tones, softer tones, and saturated. So think about these, play with them, but if you use them, let us know. I'd love to see what room you choose.
I would too.
And the third thing that we're going to talk about is the living wall. And I guess because, Jeffrey has his shop down in Deep Ellum, I think this is a great idea. But also, I think you having that space behind your diving board at your pool, I think these add such unique elements to them. They're great for the environment as well. So,
that's actually a really good idea. I'll have to think that through a bit. I like the location. I think I like how it would look physically or dimensionally down there on that. That's going to take some really hot sun.
I think you have to stay with bougainvilleas. Like do all the shades of the bougainvilleas and just kind of like let them come down as a stripe or something like that.
That'd actually be a really good idea.
I think that would be interesting to see it. But it would be a great look. With that, if you find anything that you like and would like us to feature on the show, let us know. We'd be happy to do that.
Sure will. So let's jump into Market Watch.
So Market Watch is when we actually want to look at what's happening in Dallas over the last 7 days. We're stripping out all the hype and just looking directly into what is happening here. And so it looks like coming soon. This is an optional status that realtors can do. It actually allows us to know ahead of time. It's something that we can then convey to our buyers that this is on the market. It's up 16%. And then active listings, this is also up. This is the second week in a row this is up. This is just up a smidge to 476. And then option period. Now this is down. It's down to 297, which is 20 off, and that's 6%. But that is okay because, as we were talking about earlier, this is the middle of the week, and this is typically not when everything is super juicy. We see that more towards the beginning and the end of the month.
And pendings are down 22%. That is the status that properties go to once they've worked out repairs, worked out financing, once they're really just kind of waiting to close. Pendings where they go, those were down 29 to 100 even. Excuse me. The solds were also down about 8% last week. That is down 20 from 241, and mortgage rates went up they just moved a smidge. 6.723 according to Optimal Blue.
Yep. So this is something that we can easily set up for you. One of the things that we like to do for our clients is set these up for neighborhoods that they live in, neighborhoods that they're thinking about investing in or moving to, because it lets them have a lot of good information and be able to make decisions, especially when they're competing against other pent-up buyers.
Absolutely.
So it's a great way. It's super simple. We do it all the time.
So let's jump into our house.
Which one is it, Jeff?
7151 Shook Avenue.
This is deep in Lakewood.
Really deep in Lakewood. Excellent location. I think we showed one just around the corner from this last week.
You are correct.
And it's less than a mile ride to White Rock Lake. You've got great access into downtown, coming down either Live Oak or Gaston. If you work in the Baylor Hospital District, which there are a lot of people that work in that district, this is an excellent location for you.
So a lot of people don't really take into consideration using 30 when we think about Dallas commuting, but this is a great way for you to be able to use 30 if you're heading on into Arlington. It also gives you great access to both 75 and the toll road. Or if you'd like to swing a little further to the east, you can then jump on 635 and make a complete wraparound, avoiding all of the interior traffic within Dallas, and get all the way over to the Dallas Airport.
And there's some things that are fairly close by that we wanted to point out to you. The first one is the Samuel Grand Park. And Samuel Grand Park is a really great, well-funded city park. They've, I think that Impact Management is a third-party management company that runs the events and everything. But they have a tremendous number of pickleball courts. They've got classes now. They do a lot of leagues and a lot of tournaments. They are very, very conveniently located just north of I-30 on Samuel Grand Boulevard.
So if you have not, swing by, check this out. It is definitely an easy place to get to from this location on Shook. One of the other things we want to point out is I have to confess I was hungry as I made these selections, and donut sounded really good. This is a great location. This is just on the west of the Whole Foods there on Skillman. And a little further up, if you want to go to Times 10 Winery, you can grab all this. But these are really great, local, handmade. Definitely check this out. As you can see here, they are definitely in the mood for Valentine's Day.
They sure are. Those look really good. And the last one we're going to talk about is Bolsky's Lakewood. This is a small bowling alley that's at Lakewood Theater. It also has a lot of gaming and a lot of other things you can do. But this type of entertainment venue seems to be kind of popping up because there's two of them in Lakewood now. Yep. But Bolsky's, we tried to make reservations to go, and we tried to make reservations on a Wednesday for the following Saturday, and they were all sold out. I did look at the following Saturday, and they were all available. So I'm guessing they book about a week out.
That makes sense. They also have live music here, and as you can see here, they are very proud of that bar. So go out there, check this out, support local Dallas. This is something that if you are familiar with the Cliff, this is something that we would see in Oak Cliff or even in Deep Elm. So great idea and a great use of this space rather than tearing it down.
So let's talk about 7151 Shook Avenue. This is just an incredible home. What would you describe that style to be?
It's kind of like a transitional contemporary house, so it's not super hard with the lines and the stucco, but they have done a lot of really smart elements. Eddie Maestri was the designer and also the architect for this property. And as you can see, there's elements that they've incorporated, a lot of indoor-outdoor spaces. So as you come through that front gate, this takes you into this courtyard right here. The courtyard is actually situated off of the living room, but as you can see here, kind of works really great with this with this entry. Lots of natural light is what I'm going to tell you can expect in this house, both on the front and on the back because of the way that's been designed.
And I love the room size, the ceiling height on these. I love how they've clad beams and really made them disappear. This living room, that's a very large sectional as we walked through, I felt. And those the two chairs, I'm really jealous of those two chairs. I think those are more like what I was hoping mine would turn out like.
Just a little bit bigger, but this is great. It's a great way for it to transition into this dining room that actually, again, as we talked about windows, how important the light is, but also into this kitchen. And this kitchen all has really great configuration for the cabinets. You can kind of look and see behind. When we turn back around, now we're going to look back into the dining room, back into that living room. You can see how this house all flows, and whether it's the color of the granite, and the backsplash or the actual light fixtures, they all really work together to kind of create that one super seamless space to live in.
And this is the butler pantry, which is really a great design done with this. You have the built-in under-counter microwave there, still room for plenty of appliances on top, and then you transition off into the next room from there.
Yeah, and this is a master. Master's a really good size. We're going to see that it also has a seating area, fireplace with a stone around as well. They've done a really smart job in the way they configured the actual master bathroom, which is directly behind here. I like the way that it was very open and light. As you can see through the mirrors, behind you is another wall of windows there as well. Lots and lots of light. The smart thing about this shower, as you see right there, it's frosted, but it's not an entire box of glass, meaning it is so much easier to keep clean.
Yeah, the floor-to-ceiling windows that they use throughout this house just really give it all the natural light that Weston's talking about. Good fixture, good lighting fixtures, really appropriate for each of the rooms. You can tell this is one of their kids' rooms. Looks out over the back, and again, just flooded with natural light.
They did a good job with like the decor in these houses for each one of the little kids. You can just tell it's a really fun family. They also have taken and created this really enormous secondary living room upstairs, and they've situated it so that it has a seating area. You can see there that you could play games or you could do office work. They even have a little bitty, it's not a foosball, but it's basketball shoot around right there. That's how big it is, and that's what the point of this is, to show you like how much you can do. And speaking of big, this outdoor cover space, that is probably an 8x10 or a 12x10 rug there, and look how much is around it.
There's probably, that space is probably 20 foot by 20 foot out there at least. Built-in gas grill, built-in refrigerator, lots of home upgrades that have been done. You can read through a bunch of those, the exterior windows and the doors, the home designed and constructed by Maestri Studios, 10-foot ceilings. I think it's everything we've talked about.
Pretty much. We may not have hit the Subzero or the cooktops and the Wolf, but there's a lot into this, and that's why we kind of wanted to put this in here. I'm having a tough time trying to figure out how to get out of the way. But this is 7151 Shook Avenue. It's a 5-bedroom, 4.5 bath, 2-car garage, built in 2018, just over 4,700 square feet, priced at $2.31 million, and that is $489 a square foot.
Which really, in the grand scheme of things right now, that is where the price point is in Lakewood.
100% on that. I don't have a problem with that price at all. We want to say thank you so much to Lori McGuire for allowing us to feature that home. If this is a home you'd like to see, let us know. But what we also do is in the comments, click on the link. That way you can go through all the pictures, because we were not able to put all the pictures in this 5 minutes. Zoom in and out on that map, share it with your friends and family, and then let us know if you want to take a look at it.
And with that, we'll be right back.
Did you know there are a lot of ways you can keep up with us? For starters, every Wednesday at noon, we host Sold with Updike Pugh, live from our Facebook and YouTube channels. Our show is dedicated to featuring some of the best homes in the Dallas market and about sharing timely information about market trends. But don't worry if you miss the show, because you can always listen to them on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify.
Still want more? Follow us on Instagram, where you get a first-hand look at what it's like to be a realtor. It's not always previewing homes for clients or getting them ready to go live in MLS. Lastly, visit our website and you'll be able to create a custom home search tailored specifically to your wants and needs that's timely and accurate. Whether it's square foot, location, or the neighborhood, we have you covered.
If you'd like to know how much your home is worth, we can help with that too. Just visit homeprice.fyi, enter a few pieces of information like your home address, and we'll email you a price. When you're ready to talk real estate, you can reach us online, by phone, or by text at 214-377-2223.
And remember, we want to be realtors for life.
Not 259, 250.
Woo! He's got his inner Kelsey.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second segment, episode 259 of Sold with Updike Pugh. I am Jeff Updike.
I'm Weston Pugh, and today we thought we would share with you some of our thoughts on why owning investment property pays off bigly.
There are 5 things that we can focus on, and then I'm going to show you the numbers that show you how you
Why?
determine the why and how you determine what your return is.
It's a lot.
There are so many people that say things like, well, I just want something that cash flows.
That is,
If unless you're paying cash or you're putting 50% down, it's not going to cash flow.
and you're actually going to show a point why it's not always best to use your own money.
Absolutely.
So this is really interesting. So sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and let's talk about your money and how to make more of that.
So number 1, you have a steady income stream during the entire time that you own the property.
Exactly.
Keep it rented. You might miss a month here or there with the changeover of tenants. You kind of learn how to back those up a bit, because most leases allow the seller or the owner of the property to start showing the property once the tenant is given their 30-day notice.
We've all rented, and it's 60 days here in Dallas.
Many places it is. Yeah. So you will always have that steady stream of cash flow.
The next thing that we want to kind of hit on is appreciation. Now, houses in Dallas typically have that nice slow, and I think in the last 10 years we've never seen a dip in the price evaluations, and it's really great because in the last 3 years there's been some really big months where they've even hit 10 and 13%. And those are the ones that we can actually track in MLS. So this is a really great way to get a secondary boost to your investment rather than just paying it off.
And there are some really incredible tax benefits in owning residential real estate. The tax benefits are that, well, you obviously get to write off all of your expenses against the income of the property, and that's how you determine your profit. But beyond that, one of the things that you also get when you file your tax return is you get amortization or depreciation that is amortized over. The IRS tells you how long to do it, and it's with residential property, it's 27 and a half years. So you basically take your basis of the property, divide it by 27 and a half, and that's how much each year's depreciation you get to take.
And leveraging. This is something that you're not going to get to do if you buy stocks. This is something that is specific to real estate. So rather than actually buy a stock completely outright, if we actually use that as a metaphor, moving towards a house, you can actually finance this. So you get putting down 5 to 25%, depending on what type of house this is or investment property. This allows you not to actually have to use up all of your income, which then allows you to actually buy more if you qualify. So this is a really unique element to the way that real estate allows you to build generational wealth.
And the last point we wanted to bring up was the diversification that this allows you to get in your portfolio. You probably max out your 401k with your employer to get everything that they match for you. You may have a Roth IRA somewhere that you throw money into post-tax. This fits in really well. But one of the things that I see makes real estate different than stocks is you not only get that steady income stream. Yes, when you own stock, you can get dividends, but that is, it's optional. By the board of directors get to decide whether you do or not. But you also have much faster growth in these than what we've seen with stock portfolios over the last 20 years.
It's interesting because I think, real quick, I think it was your brother who found that he had invested $3,000 into a stock, and that after 20 years it was worth $60,000. But if you would have taken that same $3,000 and used it as a down payment, there's no way that you would have only made $60,000 on a piece of property.
No,
it's not the same one-to-one. I think that was the first time that I ever really saw the dramatic difference just in what numbers are. And so this next set of slides that we're going to go through are actually going to break down like return on investment, how it is calculated, and also is going to point out that leveraging component that looks a little bit different here.
So I'm not going to put the whole spreadsheet up. I'm going to break this down into certain parts. And we're going to look at this from two perspectives. On the left, we have if you're paying cash for an investment property. And on the right, where it says conventional loan, that is where you're financing 85% of that, of the loan of that. I calculated this based on a 7% interest rate, 30-year amortization, and as you go down through these, you'll see in a cash transaction, you're going to have about $1,000 in closing costs. So your total get-in is your total basis is about $451,000. When you do your loan, you have the purchase price of the mortgage. You have about $4,000 in closing costs because of the cost of the mortgage. So you're going to have about a $454 basis right as you purchase.
So it's almost the exact same thing. And if we look and scooch over to the next slide, that's going to allow us to calculate what gross income is. And gross income, based on the $450,000 home that we're metaphorically talking about or hypothetically talking about, this gives us 12 months at $2,500. That's roughly a good income on a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in this area. That gives you $30,000 a month, and that is for
a year,
and that is for both sides of this house. The next slide.
So these are annual expenses that you're going to get to deduct. Again, on the left, we're going to be looking if you bought the property with cash, and on the right is if you have done a mortgage with it. So on the one difference that you see there is the difference in the interest that is paid when you have the mortgage. I ran an amortization schedule on the loan that I described a minute ago, and the first year's interest that you would pay is that $24,441. All other expenses are equal. So in this instance, if you're a cash owner, you're a little over $12,000 out of pocket with your expenses, and then if you were a mortgage person, you're about $36,500 in annual expenses.
And this annual expenses is going to change every year in that interest and on the maintenance, property taxes as well. But the interest is going to change because that is actually going to drop down. Every year that actually shrinks a bit. The first 7 years are super heavy, and towards the end it's almost none. So this is a really good way for this to actually, again, shift the way that your money is working for you, and that is a great way to invest. Look at the next slide, and that's going to be calculating the gross income and annual expenses and bringing that down to the actual raw number.
So as you get all the way down to the bottom, you see you have your income, you deduct all your expenses. If you're a cash owner, you are going to have about $12,115 in total expenses, and then on the mortgage side, you have $36,556.
And again, the biggest difference on this is going to be the actual interest of $24,000.
So so if you're a cash buyer, I think we can probably go to the next slide. If you're a cash buyer, you're still going to have quite a bit of profit that comes because you don't have that mortgage involved. Can you back up? Is that hard to do? As you see on the right-hand side, where you're actually out of pocket $36,556, that's going to leave you a negative of about $6,500 a year that is going to be your loss. Now let's show you how to kind of recover some of that loss. This next slide, I just wanted to show you how that interest breakdown occurs. I just want to show you how the interest breakdown occurs. Let's move on. It's a little too much detail. So here's one of the really big things about owning property, and it's the appreciation that we talked about. And Weston, you were dead on when you said our properties, just very, very steady eddy increase. And so all I did was I calculated a 5% annual increase in the appreciation of the property. And so you can see you start out at $450,000 in 2024. By 2030, which is really only 7 years down the road, you're at $603,000, and you've done really nothing but kept up the property. So while this money is not going into your pocket, let's say you're losing that $6,000 a year over there with your mortgage, $500 a month roughly. That $500 a month is turning that $450,000 into $637,000 in 7 years.
See, we actually have a client right now that we're about to list a property for them, and they bought it for $67,000 and are today, 12 years later, going to bring it on for $460,000. And it has been an investment property and has allowed this kind of money to be made.
And it can. I think there's one more slide. That was the last one? Okay. So that's really the big benefit that you get. If you are in a position where you can pay cash, you certainly can get a good return on your investment. If you've leveraged the property and done that 85% loan to value mortgage, that is where you're using other people's money to achieve the same goal, and because you've only got 15% invested in that with your down payment and your closing cost, your return is actually a lot higher on an annual basis, because all you have invested is that $65,000 or so.
It's a huge benefit. So it gets you closer to 16% of return on investment as a percentage point when you actually use the minimum amount to pay down versus paying cash all up front, which is a big takeaway on this, is that there is a huge way to win on the interest rates.
A couple of other ways that you can own investment property. If you say you're in a position that you own your primary residence somewhere, you can do a home equity line of credit in most instances and tap into up to 80% of the appraised value of your property. Now, if you, let's say that it's a $500,000 house and you owe $200,000 on it, that $200,000 is going to be considered in that 80% number. So you have to have sizable equity in it for that to really make sense to do.
One of the things to keep in mind is that this is such a good way to make money that you can look at all of the investment groups that are out there now that are gobbling up these $300,000 to $500,000 properties. And if they're putting their numbers to it and their finances have said yes is a go, this is definitely something that you should look into it, diversify, and let us know if we can help you.
If you have any questions about it, give us a call, put a note in down below. We always watch that, and that is, if there's anything, sorry I got a little lost there.
You did.
Sorry. Driving on down. So if there's any other topics you want us to talk about, please let us know. Just put those in the comments and we'll make it happen.
And just remember, we want to be realtors for life.
When you're ready to talk real estate, you can reach us online, by phone, or by text at 214-377-2223.
And remember, we want to be realtors for life.